And folks, as you sit back and relax, take a few moments, get on the phone, call some folks, call your friends and say, hey, you need to tune in and listen to this old boy, because we're going to talk about how to hunt deer in the rut. And the questions are going to be live. You're going to hear them as we hear them, and it's going to be as relevant as the last telephone call. So take just a few moments, get on the phone, email, fax somebody, let them know, hey, get on and let's talk tonight. And it is Hunting the Rut Hotline with Don Bell. And folks, listen, we're glad to be back. In just one moment, we're going to come back. And when we do, we're going to kick this bad boy off. And we're excited about talking to you. It's Thursday night, 7 o'clock, folks. Let's talk. Be back in just 1 second.
Process is a complete generation above Code Blue. Our patent pending collection process means no ammonia and no ammonia smell. At a limited quantity of 12,000 bottles, only 1/10% of hunters will be lucky.
Tonight live, and we're excited to be back. All over the country tonight, hunting season is breaking, and season's in up there in the Midwest, and it's coming across into the Northeast. And we've been sitting down here in South Alabama, North Florida, waiting for this thing to open, and it opens Saturday morning. That is right, Saturday morning, and we're going to be up in the tree just like you folks are. And some of you guys are calling us out of trees, and I told one old boy today, I was talking to him a few minutes ago from Arkansas, and he can't believe that people do that, and they do it, and some of you doing it. And hey, listen, call us. You can do it with this show. We're live every Thursday night, and this is what this show's about. So folks, look, last week we aired a seminar, live seminar that we did over here in North Florida. And guys, listen, as you watch this show each week, be reminded that even though when you hit this link live every Thursday night at 7 o'clock, we're live. But if you hit this link, and you can 24/7, 7 days a week, if you hit it before 6 and after 8, then so let's say you hit it before 7 o'clock, then it shows last week's show. As soon as it comes up, it's airing the last week's show. If you look over to the right side, you'll be able to see archived what shows were in the past. So you can go along and see what people were talking about in previous shows. And look, that's a real good, like an encyclopedia resource that you can go to. Now, wait a minute. Now, what were they talking about during pre-rut, the opening of season? And you can go back and look at that. So tonight, we're back live. And so we're going to start off tonight. We're going to take a little bit of a few Facebook questions, and then we're going to kick it off with some calls in. And boy, we try to catch up with these Facebook questions because they just come pouring in. And folks, stay with us out there. If we miss yours, we will try to get to these things. So keep them coming, and we appreciate them. First one we have from Bo DeHaas from Gainesville, Georgia. And Bo's asking, during the rut, do you believe it's better to hunt the doe on the food source or heavy cover where the deer is traveling from bedding? Bo, first of all, and everybody pay attention to the question. The question is, during the rut, do you believe? And so, Bo, you're asking a very specific question, and I know what you're thinking, and we keep coming back to this. Think about it, guys. The name of the show is Hunting the Rut Hotline. Always keep in mind, and I'll keep reminding us of this, the rut is into 3 periods: pre, peak, post. So, Bo, your question is, during the rut, do you believe it's better to hunt food source, the doe, from the food source or heavy cover? Well, during pre-rut, that's great. But you're probably asking during the peak of the rut. So during the dead peak of the rut, that doe, if she's coming in, she's up being moved around, she's being pushed around by those bucks. So keep in mind, it's pre-peak and post-rut. So early season, you bet, hunt the food sources. But when you say hunt the food sources, keep in mind, guys, don't literally set up on top of the food source. You want to hunt the trail to it, especially you guys up north and in Florida here, we can hunt over corn. Alabama, we just started being able to do that, but we got to be 100 yards and out of sight of the feeder. But if you hunting a feeder and them deer's coming to it, they're going to be skittish. You need to hunt off of that feeder, hunt off of that food source. But during the peak of the rut, Bo, that buck's going to be pushing her all over the place, so you want to be able to hunt the trails and the scrapes on that. Second quick Facebook we have is from Jason Baxter, and he's in Plymouth, Nebraska. How often should I use doe estrus? Every time I go out or every other time? Well, let's see, JC, what you want to do with that is, first of all, you're going to use estrus once he starts chasing does. So that's just before the peak of the rut. Once you start seeing a buck chase a doe, you start using estrus. And you want to use it all the way to the end of season. Most seasons, once a doe comes into estrus, she's going to be in estrus, or she's going to be, the peak of the rut's going to tail out to the tail end of the season. For instance, let me think where you are there. You're in Nebraska, so as the peak of the rut happens, we're actually going to be in Illinois in 2 weeks, which is, the first part of November. So the peak of the rut in the Midwest historically is the 7th to the 15th of November. That's historically. You can almost count on the peak being there, but you can keep using estrus all the way to the end of season, because those that didn't get bred will recycle and come back in later on. So to answer your question quickly is that every time you go out during the peak of the rut, you bet use estrus. But look, Jason, also use buck urine. And boy, we preach that on this show, buck urine every day. Once you start using, you see in the does, add the estrus, not together, but trail. You got buck urine, you got estrus, you got a buck chasing a doe. Okay? So you use buck and estrus in conjunction. Another quick Facebook is Steve Ward from Pittsfield, Illinois. When is the best time to use a buck decoy, and where would you position the ears? Well, the best time to use a decoy is you can use it anytime during the hunting season. Pre-rut, you just don't want to tuck him ears back. Those of you that got horses out there, if you're riding a horse, and a horse, especially if he's got a strong spirit, he comes up against another horse, he'll lay those ears back, and it's just showing dominance, or he's got an attitude, and so he'll lay it back. During pre-rut, you can use the decoy, because all you're doing is you just confirming his eyes to what he smelt, and he sees a decoy during pre-rut there, Steve. He's not coming in to fight, so you don't want to position the ears back. Positioning the ears is a posturing of the buck, a physical posturing telling him that he's mad. So pre-rut, you don't want to do that. Just before the peak of the rut, you definitely want to do that. You want to put that out, put buck ear on him, and then tuck him ears back, and you have a lot of fun with that. Grunt with him, and also rattle if you get a chance, and maybe somebody will call in and ask some questions on that as well. Let's take another quick Facebook. Aaron from Lebanon, Indiana, wants to know, what's the best way to set up a scent corridor during the rut with just scrapes and rubs being made? Any opinions on scents or attractants? Aaron, we're back to that word rut. When you say scrapes and rubs, scrapes are, you're going to start seeing rubs during pre-rut. So yes, you can do that. And when you first thing you see is you see a rub line. The second thing you're going to see is those secondary scrapes, or frustration scrapes, I call them. You can use buck urine. Those of you that use tarsals, you can use, we also have under Top Secret, we have the buck urine, but we also have the tarsal. Those that, and we're going to keep trying to integrate some of these glands that's on a white-tailed deer. You know that the bucks on the back hind leg, they have what's called a tarsal gland, and that's how they mark, as part of the marking of a scrape. So you want to be able to hunt that scent corridor down that rub line and down the scrape line, and you want to use buck urine pre-rut all the way through to the peak of the rut. Rule of thumb, every time you go out, use buck urine. It's going to start good, guys, and it's going to get better. First part of the year, any buck smells it, he's not mad, he's coming in because bucks are in bachelor groups. He just wants to see who the new kid is. A lot of people in Alabama Saturday morning, they're just going to want to, of course, we can kill a fair amount of deer here in Alabama. So what they're going to want to do is they want to put a buck in the freezer. So they want to shoot just any buck. So as they put buck urine out, any buck will come to it. He's not coming in mad. He's just wanting to see who the new kid on the block is. So you can hunt those scrapes and those rub lines, and yes, use buck urine. Start at the beginning, use it every day of the season. It's going to start good, and again, just like with the decoys, you want to use grunting and rattling in conjunction with it. Early pre-rut, I'd grunt. I'd wait just before the peak of the rut to start doing any rattling. Just before the peak, not during the peak, because during the peak, you got the majority of the does standing, so That's like you wanting to fight, and there's ladies everywhere, and you want to fight over that one over there. Well, here, you can have that one, I'll take these 20. So it's less, it's not that it's not effective, but rattling is more effective, just dramatically more effective just before the peak and right after the peak, because there's only a few here. Most of them are in here, so they're standing around, plenty for everybody. Here, those that didn't get bred is going to come back in, so there's competition once again. So alrighty, so let's see if we can take us our first call. And I believe, guys, do we have someone on the phone back there yet? All right, let's see who we got on the phone here. Don Bell, who we got?
Hey, how's it going?
Yes, sir. Who we got on the phone?
This is Travis Kilroy.
Travis Kilroy. Boy, that sounds like a southern name. Travis, where are you from?
From Wakefield, New Hampshire.
New Hampshire. Well, that's not a southern name then, is it? Well, Travis, what's your question tonight?
My question is, what's the best scent to use during pre-rut season?
Travis, so you're hunting. You're from New Hampshire and you're hunting in New Hampshire. Season broke when there? When did the first day of archery season open up there? Late September?
September 15th.
Yep, okay. You're mid-October up there now. So, and your question is, which scent is best during pre-rut or during the rut?
What's best for both?
Well, if the rule of thumb, then the way you want to do this, Travis, is that the way to look at it is every time you go in the woods, you're going to go hunting tomorrow morning, say, you want to use buck urine. When you use buck urine tomorrow, bucks are in bachelor groups, and they're still in bachelor groups up in New Hampshire right there. Now, though you're New Hampshire, you're 2 weeks before we go to Illinois, so you're getting pretty close to late by, in the next week, 10 days, you may even start seeing some does being ran up there. So the peak of the rut typically where you are is mid-November. Yeah, so you want to start using buck urine. You use it every time you go in the woods. And Travis, the reason for that is that what you're wanting to do is to get the attention of any buck. So the opening day of bow season, when you use it, any buck smells it, he's just coming in, he just wants to see who the new kid on the block is. He's not mad, he's just wanting to see who it is because he's the new kid on the block. Well, you and I, we don't care. You just want the bucks coming in to see who it is. And a big buck could do that, and a little buck could do that. Doesn't matter if it's a teenager or if he's a grown man. He's still wanting to see who the new kid on the block is. So it starts off good. Now, Travis, the more you use it, buck urine, and the closer you get to the peak of the rut, which is, you're 2 weeks out to that up there, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks out of where you are, then that same buck urine that you pour out now, he's going to be mad when he smells it. Travis, how old are you?
I'm 21.
21. All right, well, look here. Are you married by any chance?
Nope.
All right, well, we're going to pretend. We're going to pretend you're older, and we're going to pretend that you're married. All right, all you guys out there is listening. You come home and you smell Old Spice cologne. Would you care if you flipped the light on if you found Pee Wee Herman or Superman? It wouldn't make much difference to you, would it? It wouldn't make any difference if he was a teenager or if he was a grown man. It is not how old the buck is that buck is smelling, it's where he's smelling it. So that's the reason why buck urine, guys, everybody listen to this. Use buck urine every day of the hunting season. Guys, every day of the hunting season, you go in the woods, use buck urine. Starts good, and Travis is going to get better. The closer he gets to the peak, the more aggressive he's going to come to it, because it's like coming home smelling Old Spice, knowing you don't wear it. And you want to use a grunt call, Travis?
Urine, dominant or?
Say it again.
What's the best urine you use, dominant or young buck?
All right, good question. All right, now watch this. That's the reason why I use that analogy. Guys, what Travis just asked is, if I'm going to use buck urine, do I need to use dominant buck urine or not a dominant buck urine? It doesn't matter. And here's why, Travis. It goes back to all you guys out there married. It's a football game. We come home tonight. Well, after this seminar, we go home and I go to the house and I smell Old Spice cologne and I flip that light on. Guys, it doesn't matter how old it is. It doesn't matter if it's a teenager there or if it's a grown man. It's not the age, it's who and where they are. And what I mean by that, Travis, is you could take a little button buck, a little spike, and put that spike in a primary scrape, and that buck is going to be just as mad at him as he is if he comes in with a trophy buck in there. It doesn't matter. He's going to be just as mad over a teenager being there as he is a big buck. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, because once you flip that light on, it don't much matter what size he is or how old he is. It's where he is that matters. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, that's the same way with a grunt call. A lot of folks out there, if you don't believe this, Travis, what I want you to do tomorrow, and all you guys listening, tomorrow I want you to start asking this question. Ask it to half a dozen people. Ask them if they use a grunt call. If they say yes, say, listen, had you rather your grunt call sound like a big buck or a little buck? Travis, you know what most people are going to tell you they want theirs to sound like?
What?
A big buck. Because they think big means it's going to bring in a big buck. Makes no difference. It doesn't matter what size the animal is, it is where the animal is that makes the buck mad. So once you start hunting that primary scrape, then any urine in that scrape is an infringement, whether it's a young buck or a big buck. So it's not the age, it's where it is. So use your grunt call. It'll put a deer downwind, especially if you use a decoy. Put you some buck urine on it, and Travis, you'll have a big old time this year. Does that kind of make sense what we're talking about?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you bow hunt or gun hunt?
I do both.
All right. Well, look, do you use buck urine?
Yes. I've just started using it.
Well,
I started mixing it with dopey.
you mean like putting it together or putting it in conjunction with one another?
I mix both.
Yeah, all right. Well, look here. What will help you is, you see my two hands? All right. This hand is buck urine. So this is a scrape. The chair I'm sitting in is a scrape. If you pour buck urine out here, you don't want to put estrus on top of the buck urine. In other words, you don't want to mix it. What you want to do is put it side by side or somewhere close to it, but you don't want to mix it because then you're weakening both scents. So what you want to do is to put them. You can put them side by side, and that's the reason if you do a double drag, you put buck urine on the back one and estrus in front of it, so you got a buck trail and a doe. So you'd probably have better results by not mixing it. You can put them side by side, but don't mix them together, if that makes sense.
Okay, and what's the best time to use estrus then?
You want to use it once he starts chasing does, and really and truly where you are in New Hampshire, Halloween on. I mean, what's the earliest you start seeing bucks chase does up there?
Probably mid-November.
To start chasing does?
Yes.
Or now, yeah, that should be your peak. And keep in mind, the word estrus means an animal will stand and not run. So the peak of the rut is when the majority of the does are standing and not running. Most people think the peak of the rut is when a buck's chasing a doe, or they think a doe's an estrus when she's being chased. But in reality, she's not. She's coming in. The reason she's running is because she's coming in and she don't want to be fooled with. But buck urine every day of every time you go in the woods, Travis. And then the last thing is, once you start seeing a buck chase those does. That's when, guys, you start using the estrus, and then you keep using buck and estrus all the way to the end of the season. And you'll see, Travis, just don't put them together, and I think you'll see better results with that. And get back with us and let us know how that works out for you.
Okay.
All right. Hey, Travis, thank you for calling in, man. Tell everybody about the show. Appreciate you watching up there in New Hampshire. Appreciate it. Thank you, Travis. All right, guys, listen, we're fixing to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back, and we'll come back with another telephone call from someone up in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Be back in just one moment. Time with this. We're excited just like you. Our season's come in Saturday morning, and we're going to climb us of a tree. In fact, it's been kind of cool the past couple of days, hasn't it? And hey, listen, I know you guys up there in the north, you think I am down there in South Alabama, but hey, we're waking up 50 degrees.
40 this morning.
40 degrees this morning. I mean, that'll make you miss work. In fact, for years, guys, in Alabama, and you can't make this up, just like it is in some parts of Pennsylvania, for instance, they actually had to move the opening day of school, move it because people open the day of season. They had to move it to a Saturday because season would open and nobody come to school, and that's including the teachers. And so, and you know that's to be a truth. And look, you know that's true up there in Pennsylvania. I think we got another caller on the line, and let's see who we got here, guys. All righty, you got Don Bell. Who we got on the phone?
Don, you got Mel. How you doing?
Mr. Mel, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well, sir. Yourself?
Yes, sir. Mel, you in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
That is it.
Man, that's a pretty place of the world. That's some good hunting up there.
Not too bad. We got a full spectrum fall going on, so I'm all right with it.
Are you from up there?
What's that?
Are you from Fort Wayne?
Yes, sir. Born and raised.
Yes, sir. Man, it's a pretty part of the world, and there ain't nothing like having all four seasons, is it? Especially when season's coming in. You bow hunt or gun hunt?
I bow hunt religiously. I gun hunt with my bow next to my side.
There you go. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Well, look, man, we're glad to have you on tonight. We're having a big time with this show, and it's a pretty neat thing, Mel. I mean, you know, each week this thing grows, and people, as you can tell, they call in from all over the country, and finally, 14 Million Deer Hunters has got a place to call in and ask questions. And look, we learn just as much in these conversations as you call in asking questions. And so we're tickled to have you call in tonight. Mel, what kind of question you got tonight?
Well, I appreciate the opportunity first and foremost.
You bet.
Question I have actually is about rattling. Now, I have tried rattling. I have a fairly good place that I hunt. It's about 180 acres in total. What it butts up to is not hunted, so there's really no excuse for not a good deer population.
Yep.
I'm a one-man
No
band.
pressure.
No pressure. Low pressure, no pressure. I'm
All right.
about the only pressure, and I've got a good sanctuary on my property that's set aside. I got a lot of good trail cam photos of good deer. Deer that, you know, quite honestly, and to be candid with you, sir, a lot of my friends would be jealous to hunt.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
We just need your address. You know what I mean? You know, you and I, we go way back now. Just keep that in mind.
Hey, it's a two-way street, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, I think you come down here. Well, we got some good deer in Alabama. Now, I don't know if you know, but just we took the new out.
I am aware. You guys do have some good deer. You also have some luxury weather, as I like to reference.
Yeah, it can get kind of warm down here. But hey, we took the new Alabama state record with top secret too. Well, say we, a guy in Birmingham did.
What was that, 190, 191?
197 and I think 7/8. You know, nothing.
190, I can't count that high, Don.
Well, hey, and that old boy went hunting that day to shoot a doe. He'd been out of work for 6 months. And so can you imagine what he come out with when he walked up on that old boy and realized that of course, he didn't realize he'd killed the new state record, but new typical #1 state record. So, okay, so you got about 180 acres there, no pressure, and you're not having any results in rattling.
No, I have good luck. My question to you is rattling. Okay, I see it on TV. Mainly Texas, West Texas, areas like that seem to work really well. Here in the Midwest. And, you know, my buddies, they hunt some good grounds too. I've tickled, soft, gentle rattles. I've reenacted World War II. I've done just about everything you can think of. Never have I ever, not even over a decoy, had a buck come into it that was at least 3 years of age. I get small, 4 corn, 6 points, 1.5 years old, sometimes a 2.5. Nothing decent.
Well,
I don't get it. What am I doing wrong?
Well, it's not that you're necessarily doing wrong, but let me make a couple quick observations. First of all, people are the illusion that when you rattle, the louder, the bigger the horns, the bigger the buck. As you realize, that's not the case. First of all, rattling is almost a misnomer. because you use the word tickle the tines. And that's right. You can just take them and just kind of go click, 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 click. You use a lock-on or a climber?
I use both.
Okay.
Depends on the day and the wind.
Look, all those hunters that's listening out there tonight, email us on this, Facebook us, call in and give us your input on this. How many of you have ever had a buck come in as you were climbing a climbing stand? Because what you have climbing is a click, 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 click going up. And I mean, I've had bucks come running into that. But, you know, rattling grunting is effective, rattling is less effective, has something to do with the buck-doe ratio, but what you always absolutely need to do is always use buck urine in conjunction with rattling or grunting. Even if you got a decoy out, you still need the buck urine. And do you use buck urine?
You know, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't.
All right.
I'm going to be even more honest with you here. I never have.
All right. Well, I'm fixing
myself where the wind was blowing to the field, so they'd have to walk that edge corridor I was sitting on in order to see what was going on.
Yep.
Never use buck urine.
All right. Well, look here. We're fixing to fix your world real quick here. You're going to like this. It's a simple fix. What you want to do is what you're doing is you're telling the buck, all right, you're looking at me, the chair you're sitting in, right straight in front of you is downwind. The wind's coming from behind your head going forward the way you're looking, right? So you're sitting in your stand. You got a decoy downwind. You get up in the tree and you rattle. A buck's behind you. When you rattle or grunt, rattling or grunting is an infringement. When you grunt, you're telling another buck that another buck is tending a doe. Well, whose doe? His doe. Grunting is an infringement. When you rattle, whether you clang them with World War II like you said, or whether you're just tinkling them together, either way, whether they're sparring or they're rattling, what are they sparring and rattling over? A doe. Whose doe? His doe, because you're in his scrape area, or his primary scrape, what I call a master bedroom. So what happens is he goes downwind. And simply put, all grunting and rattling does is puts the deer downwind. Now, so just think about a scenario where you hunt. And so just think about how many bucks by grunting or rattling that you've put downwind that you've never seen. The reason he goes downwind is you whip his ears by grunting and rattling. You whip his eyes with a decoy. His nose keeps his butt alive. So when you get up in a tree and you rattle, what that does, our guy in the sound room hates for me to do that, don't you, Chris? He's shaking his head. So what happens is, when you rattle, you just told me, Steve's sitting over there as a buck. So what happens is, Steve goes downwind. The reason he's going downwind is he wants to smell what he's hearing. His nose, you can whip his ears with rattling and grunting. You can whip his eyes with a decoy, but that nose keeps his butt alive. Does that make sense? So what happens is he goes downwind, and it's called fleaming. You kill a buck this year, or doe, but you kill that buck, open his mouth and look in the top palate of the mouth, and you're going to see a little diamond-shaped hole. Sole purpose of that bad boy, male, is to read urine. So it's called fleaming. So that old buck goes downwind, throws his nose up in the wind, and he curls his lips. And what he's trying to do is to smell what he's hearing. So you've rattled, and there's no telling how many deer you've put downwind that you've never seen. And he's downwind, and he can't smell buck urine or Old Spice cologne. So therefore, his nose overrides his ears, and you're thinking, man, what am I doing wrong? Rattling don't work. Now, rattling is a long distance call. Grunting is a short distance call. That's short distance, and you want to grunt first, male, then rattle. Either way, you need to use buck urine. Buck urine confirms his ears, his nose to his ears. Does that make sense?
It does.
No pun intended.
Let me ask you this time. So, in conjunction with buck urine, what benefits do I find with using doe urine? Not doe and heat. I mean, deer sheds its velvet. He's pretty much breeding ready.
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No doubt, Mel. And boy, we preach that on this. And guys, listen to what Mel just said. The rut's in 3 periods. Anywhere in North America, where you're up, and Fort Wayne's no exception. Once he sheds velvet, he's in rut. He's in rut to the time he can drop his antlers, which means in 99% of the country, when season comes in, a buck's in rut. He's in rut the entire season. Once he sheds velvet, he can breed. All right. Now, I didn't say she was in. I said he biologically is in rut. He can breed. Now, having said that, doe urine, you want to use early season. You know, early archery season.
Okay.
You know, it's more of a kind of anything will come into it. In fact, a couple weeks ago, Steve sent a photograph of this doe just tearing this young buck's butt. You know, you ever seen them rear up and like 2 kangaroos fighting?
Yeah, I've seen them pop up.
A doe will run young bucks off like that because they're you know, they'll start putting them on out during pre-rut. But doe urine, if you're early archery season, you know, if you're just wanting to shoot anything, but buck urine every time you go in the woods. Man, listen, start off with buck urine, male's going to start good and it's going to get better. The closer it gets to the peak, he's more aggressive, just like when you put that, you rattle, he needs to smell it, or you grunt, he needs to smell it. So this year, get you some buck urine, Mel, and call us back and let us know how it works for you. You going hunting this weekend?
Oh, yes, sir.
Get you some buck urine, and you know, look, if you look on your screen right there, Mel, underneath the screen there, you know, we're sponsored by Top Secret Deer Scent. And of course, Top Secret is single no oxygen. And you can hit that site right there, hit that little bar, and you can go to the website and get it, or you can go to your local dealer up there and get it. So
I appreciate it.
You bet. And you're in Fort Wayne. Do you have a Dick's store up there anywhere near you?
Yes, sir, we do.
Yep, you can go to Dick's and get it.
Okay.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Hey, appreciate you calling in, and tell everybody about the show and have them call in next week.
Yes, sir. While I'm live, I'll say thank you for your time and God bless our troops.
Hey, man. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it so much, Mel. Thank you.
Have a good night.
You bet. Thank you, sir. Guys, listen, we're live. We're talking to people from all over the country. Stay tuned. We're fixing to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back in just about 30 seconds. Be right back.
All right. From Don Bell, the founder of Code Blue, comes Top Secret Reserve Doe Estrus, the finest doe estrus ever collected. Top Secret oxygen-free collection process is a complete generation above Code Blue. Our patent-pending collection process means no ammonia and no ammonia smell. At a limited quantity of 12,000 bottles, only 0.1% of hunters will be lucky enough to add Top Secret to their arsenal. Visit TopSecretDeerScent.com today and join the 0.1% club.
By the powers of be, that we might have had a couple little glitches in that last segment. And folks, this show's live, and we're streaming live all over the country, for that matter, all over the world. We got people, and that's no joke. We are people, believe it or not, they call in, and we appreciate the people up in Canada calling in. And so stay with us. We appreciate you calling in. Want to remind everybody, guys, listen, this show is brought to you by Top Secret Deer Scent. That's our sponsor, the 1/10 of 1% Club. You just saw a quick commercial on what is called Reserve. Folks, listen, those of you are out there, this is well, I've been in the industry nearly 30 years and been bottling deer urine, bottled tinks for years, started Code Blue Deer Scent, and Top Secret is heads and above about anything that's ever hit the industry. It is oxygen free. And those of you that, if you look below the screen down there, you'll be able to see a little button. You can hit that button, and if you're interested in a bottle of Reserve, what you're seeing right here in this bottle, this is, no folks, it's not wine. This is deer urine. It's 26 ounces and it's a $100 bill. And for those of you that thought I said $100, it is a $100 bill. It is 26 ounces from a single doe from 3 or 4 years old, and it is in process urine, meaning that we literally pulled the buck off that old doe. There's only 12,000 bottles for 12 million deer hunters. That means, folks, that only 1/10 of 1% of hunters will even get a bottle. And so, you know, it's a limited process. It is always on a first come first served basis. And when you buy this bottle, you become what we call a 1/10 of 1% club member. That means that once you buy it, nobody can ever take it away from you. It's like buying season tickets at Alabama or whatever university you're in, University of Michigan, Wisconsin. Once you buy a bottle, it belongs to you. No one can ever take it away. So long as you place your order again by the following April, then you're part of the 1/10 of 1% club. And listen, when you buy a bottle, you also get to be part of new product development. We do webinars just for you. For instance, right now, we have a big buck contest that's being ran every month for the next 5 months, October, November, December, January, and yep, mail up there that we just talked to, believe it or not, all the way into February in parts of Alabama, and season's still open here in Florida. So you get to do all kind of things as a club member, but it is on a first come first served basis, 12,000 bottles. And folks, listen, also, those of you that wants the Buck Reserve is available in estrus. It comes to $3.58 an ounce. This is the finest scent the industry's ever seen, strictly on a first come first served basis. Guys, hit that button, get it. Once it's yours, and you can actually even hit that button tonight. You can buy it, we'll send it to you today, or if you want one for next year, you can actually hit that button on the screen. It'll take you to the website. You can choose what we call a 4-pay. You can pay for it over 4 months and tell us to ship it next October, November, December, and we'll ship it to you next year. So you can actually order this Reserve tonight, not only for this season, but you can order it for next year, and it's a neat ride. But now, we also have Reserve Breeding Buck, but we only have about 1,100 bottles of that. So really and truly, the ones that's gobbling that up really quick is your club members. So club members, keep that in mind. If you want that, you're the first shot at that breeding buck. So guys, listen, we appreciate you guys hanging around. We're fixing to go to another quick caller, and I believe we're going to talk to Dominic Gruber, and I believe he's up in Oliva, Wisconsin. Dominic, Don Bell.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing good. Dominic, by any chance, have I talked to you before?
On Facebook, I've had a question before.
Okay, the reason I asked that, man, up there in Oliva, Wisconsin, you're up there near Mandovi, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I'm originally from Mandovi.
Get out of here. Listen, it's a small world, isn't it? Because everybody listening, you just don't know how big Mandovi is. So, man, that's all. Listen, you up there in Buffalo County.
I am.
I want to tell you something, man. Up there in Oliva, do you know Lee Christensen?
I don't personally know him, but I know of him.
Yeah, Lee's. I'll tell you, he's crazy. He's the smartest guy, one of the smartest guys I ever met. He's a hoot, but he lives in his dad's a big dairy farmer up there. But man, I missed. I never got to draw on him, but I mean a huge buck here in Mandovi. And missed him, didn't see him the next morning, and then we had to leave him go to the SHOT Show out in Vegas, and some guy came in behind me and killed him. So, man, I know exactly where you're hunting. That's the blackest, that dirt is as black as my shirt.
Oh, yes, it is.
I mean, that's the blackest soil in America, man. You're in a good part of the world. Are you from there?
Yep.
All right, man. What kind of question, Dominic, you got tonight?
Mine is, what is the best way to use your liquid scent versus the foaming, as far as ease of use and
Well, with our liquid scent, we have estrus, buck and doe and tarsal in 3-ounce bottles. Retails for $14.95, comes to $5 an ounce. I mean, no oxygen. You use our liquid scent the same as you use any scent. You can use it in scent wicks, you can use it on scent drags, you can use it in scent dispensers. But keep in mind, Dominic, that once you open our scent, in other words, if you're going to use it on a scent drag, or if you're going to use it in a scent dispenser, you only want to pour enough in there. First of all, once you open our scent, this bottle right here, if you can see that bottle right there, that is, if you look at that, it is a clear golden yellow. right? Just clear yellow. It's never seen oxygen. But so you open that right now, you and I are going hunting, we open it and we put it on a scent drag and we close it. What happens is you put oxygen to it. So what we have, Dominic, is called a scent saver system. See this over here on the table? A scent saver is a pump, a 3-ounce bottle with a vacuum plug. So you take this 3-ounce bottle, so let's you and I go hunting tomorrow morning. So you go and you get this, you open it, you pour all of this into this 3-ounce bottle. You plug it, you pump it out. We're ready to go hunting, all right? So tomorrow morning, you and I, we're going to put it, I say, on a scent drag. So what you do is you open this bottle. It's already pumped out. And you hear that clicking sound? That means there's absolutely no oxygen in that bottle. So we're going to get ready to go hunting. Now tomorrow morning, you do not want to do this, Dominic. You don't want to pop it. You hear how loud that is? Now you don't want to do that. So what you do is you simply pump it out. There's a little nipple on the top right there. And all you got to do to that nipple is to push it or pull it and you'll hear it go ch. Once it does that, you can open it. Now you can put it on a scent dispenser. You can put it in a wick. You can put it on a drag. You can use it any way that you normally use liquid scent. You plug it. You pump it back out 2-3 times. There's no oxygen in that bottle now. And now, Dominic, you're ready to go hunting tomorrow or next week. So now for the first time in this industry, you can start with no oxygen and you can maintain it with no oxygen with the scent saver. So every time you open it, you pump it out, and so you can use it all the way down and it'll still be yellow with no oxygen. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes perfect sense.
You bet, man. And listen, this is a one-time purchase. This will work on anybody's scent, the scent saver, but Dominic, it's only going to keep what you got as good as what it was. And if it's not top secret, it's collected with oxygen. I don't care whose it is. Top secret has changed the scent industry. No oxygen. Dark urine says a deer was there. Clear yellow urine says a deer is there. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
You bet. And if we need to do a little survey on this thing and do a little contest. If tomorrow, when you go to work, Dominic, ask you 10 people. I guarantee you 9, 10 out of 10, you ask them what color is urine when they bite deer scent. You know what color they're going to tell you it is?
Brown.
Brown. And you know why? Because it's ammoniated. That says a deer was there. Clear yellow says a deer is there. So you want to put out clear yellow urine. And Top Secret's the only one that has oxygen-free, ammoniated-free urine. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Now watch this. You're going to like this. All you guys out there, have you seen the deer bladder? Dominic, have you seen this yet?
I have seen it on a previous episode.
All right. This drips. Every time it drips means the deer's there right now. You can drip this once an hour. So if you take this and pour it out this morning, you and I, we're going to get up in the tree and it's daylight. We're going to hunt 3 hours. Well, and a buck comes by. Well, that's fresher than anything the industry's ever seen. This bottle is right here. But it's also been out there 3 hours. This, it'll drip, you make it drip once an hour, every 2 hours, or every how many times an hour you want. That means the last drip means a deer, so first time it's hit oxygen, means a deer's there right now. That's what this does for you. So this is a neat deal. So I hope that answers your question. And I mean, does it answer your question?
Oh, it answered it.
Now, regarding the foam is, you don't have to use the scent saver system. The foam, you simply foam out. Now, if you heard Mel just a few minutes ago in Fort Wayne, Indiana, we were talking to him, talking about that new Alabama state record was killed a couple years ago. It was killed with this foam. Now, what I'm about to do, I want to remind all them folks out there, I sell deer urine, but I'm not stupid. I'm not putting urine on me. What I have in my hand right here is foam, but you see that little S on the bottom of it? That means it doesn't have the scent in it, to where I can just show you how it foams. So this is what it looks like. All right, Dominic, what you do is you take the foam, you got 300 pumps in it. And all you have to do to this is just simply foam it out. And when you foam it out, it just foams in your hand. So when you do that, now then you can see it. Now this, you can walk 10, 15 yards, foam it, 10, 15 yards, foam it. Each time you put it out, it's the first time it hits oxygen. So you start at your truck, you foam it, 15, 20 yards, you foam it, 15, 20 yards, you foam it. So, and you walk 500 yards, how far to your tree. So when you get to your stand, the last one you foamed is the freshest because it just hit oxygen, which means now what's going to happen to you is, hey, Dominic, he's going to hit that scent trail and follow you to the stand instead of go to the truck. Does that make sense?
Makes sense, yes.
Yeah. The foam is, you don't have to have the scent dispenser to use the foam. And the advantage of the foam is that you can take those guys watching out there, you can take buck urine, you can take estrus. So what you do, you use a grunt call?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So when you grunt, that's a territorial infringement. So what you're doing is you're telling that old boy, hey, there's a buck tending a doe, which is an infringement. So you take buck urine, the foam, you foam it, 15, 20 yards, you take the estrus, you foam it, buck, estrus, you just alternate it as you walk. Now you got a buck chasing a doe. See? And so the foam allows you that opportunity to do that. And if you're trying to lay a scent trail, this is perfect for that. Okay?
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Well, it makes total sense.
Hey man, listen, well, here's what I want you to do up there. If you look up, you're not that far from Lee, but if you happen to see Lee, tell him Don Bell asked about how he's doing, and tell him to tell you about the time he backed that semi-truck through his dad's barn there. And he called me up in Vegas. We were at the SHOT Show, and he said, my Lord, Don, he said, I have dropped the semi-truck through his father's barn on top of the cows, man. So it was loaded down. I don't know what he was doing in the barn with a semi-truck, but it went through to the bottom. But look, we appreciate it. Get your product. And look, I don't know if you've joined the club or not and got you a bottle reserve, but tell Mama it'd make a great Christmas gift if you're not a club member. All you guys out there, hit that little sign in front of you, below me here, that button. It'll take you to the website, and you can order it this year, Dominic, or you can order for next year and become a club member. So we appreciate you calling in.
She already knows about it. It's on my list.
Well, hey, I tell her, seriously now, I tell Mama, say that's on a first come, first served basis, and listen to me, Dominic, and everybody out there listening to me, that's not a joke, that's not a sales pitch. Folks, do the math. There's 12,000 bottles for 12 million deer hunters. That means not 1% of hunters will get it, 1/10 of 1% will get it. And the crazy thing about it, Dominic, once you get it, it's yours. The only way that nobody else will ever get that bottle is that you decide to give it up. If you ever give it up, it'll be gobbled up. So tell Mama she needs to be hitting the website. Appreciate you calling in.
Appreciate you for having me.
Hey man, tell everybody about the show. We appreciate it.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thanks a lot. Stay. Man, you fixed to be right on the prime up there and leave us. So stay warm up there. Appreciate you calling in.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you, Dominic. Okay, guys, we're fixing to, let's see what we're fixing to do here. We're fixing to do a few Facebook questions here. Let's see, we got Chris Lines from, how do you pronounce that? Nahada, Georgia? He's over in Georgia, and he wants to know, with the rut fast approaching, is it better to hunt rubbed lines or to hunt scraped lines? Well, season's in over there, Chris, so it's done snuck up on you. The rut's on. Because once he sheds velvet, he is biologically in rut. And the rut in Georgia is the entire hunting season. And can't stress that enough. Once he sheds velvet, he's in rut. He's in rut till the time he drops his horns. There's antlers. That means he's in rut the entire hunting season. And I'm sure what you're talking about is with the rut fast approaching, you're probably talking, Chris, about the peak of the rut, like most people are, but you're missing 2/3 of the hunting season. And the question is, with the peak of the rut fast approaching, is it better to hunt rub lines or to hunt scrape lines? And the answer to that is, and I'm going to assume, and you call me if I'm wrong on this, Chris, I'm assuming you're wanting to know about the peak of the rut, and so the answer to that is it's better to hunt the scrape lines than the rub lines. But really and truly, it's one and the same wall. You're going to have scrapes along the rub, and if you think about your house, the outer wall is a rub line. The scrapes are along the wall. Rarely, not impossible, but rarely will you have scrapes, especially primary scrapes, interior of the house. It's always along the outer perimeter of the wall. That's as a general rule. So, but you're going to find that. So during the peak of the rut, you want to hunt them scrapes, especially those primary scrapes. And look, Chris, not hard to do. A primary scrape is always underneath an overhanging limb. And you're from Georgia over there, you know what I'm talking about. Now, old Dominic up there in Leeville, Wisconsin, he won't know what we're quite, yeah, he might, but you in Georgia, down there in Georgia, you know that when a brim go on a bed, you can actually smell the brim on a bed. Well, all you got to do is stick your head downwind of a scrape, and you're going to smell if that buck has been in that scrape. Okay, so try that this year. But to answer your question, you want to during the peak of the rut, of course, just before the peak, because when the peak of the rut's on, they're just everywhere. They're crossing from one house into the other house. But still, if I had to position myself, I'd be along those rub lines, scrape lines, along the rubs and the scrapes. All right, we got Matthew Middleton from Wichita, Kansas. Now that's another good place to go hunting. Doggone, you need to adopt us out there in Kansas. Matthew wants to know, is it true does are more territorial than bucks? Dominant does, guys, probably net. The answer to that is probably no. As we traditionally know, is being territorial. We think bucks because they're protecting that primary scrape. But most people don't know, Matthew, that a doe will rub urinate 12 months out of the year. Research shows that within the first 30 minutes from a time a mature doe, gets up out of the bed in the morning, northern, southern, it doesn't matter, once she stands up, and as she feeds, within the first 30 minutes of that, she's going to rub urinate. And rub urinate just like a buck would over her back legs. Sole purpose of that is she's putting on her dominance, her structure. And I kid people, it's almost like a southern lady putting makeup on here in the South. And it doesn't matter if they're going to Walmart, they're going to get dolled up to go to Walmart. And so they're putting on their identity. A doe's going to do, especially a mature doe. And she's going to do that within the first 30 minutes of the time she gets up. So she's kind of setting a status. And what's neat about that, Matthew, is that when she comes in contact with another doe, if she's a mature doe, and if she's the dominant doe, she's going to rub urinate again to show status to that doe. And in fact, I tell you what I'll do. Steve, I need to put that picture up that you sent the other day. Steve sent a picture where he hunts here in South Alabama, where this doe was reared up. You know, it looks like two kangaroos fighting. You see it all the time. Well, not all the time, but it's people think it's odd. But that's just a doe. It's very common for a mature doe to start running young bucks off, especially if it's her buck. If it's her offspring, she'll run them off. She'll start, and I mean she's relentless with it, and she's mean with it actually. You know him crying his eyes out. She beating the fool out of him, making him get out of the way, and get out of the area. So in that sense, the answer is yes. So, alrighty, let's see, guys. we want to remind everybody next week that our show, we do this thing every Thursday night at 7 o'clock. We're going to do something a little different with this. What we're going to do, simply because we're going to be gone in the week of the 2nd through the 8th. And so that week when we do that, we're going to do the show live. We're going to record the show on Tuesday night. We're going to do it on a Tuesday night, and we'll put this all through Facebook. We'll do it on Tuesday night, and then we will air it live at our regular scheduled time on Thursday night at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. So this show is every week. And folks, we do appreciate you calling in, and it really is amazing. And we thought this thing would be a go because hunters want to know. Hunters have questions. They needed a place to go ask questions to, and now they have it. And folks, we'll remind you, this is every Thursday night, 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. That'll be 52 weeks a year. Because folks, if you want to understand how to kill a buck during the rut, then you need to understand what makes a buck do. He doesn't just pack up and go home somewhere when season ends. He is still living. And what he does during hunting season has a lot to do with what he's done in the previous months up to that. Being in a pecking order and understanding where he lives, this show's going to be about that. Because when season ends, we're not going to forget about hunting, about what a deer does. So every week, 52 weeks a year, every Thursday night, you have somewhere to come to and ask questions about hunting the rut. It's called Hunting the Rut Hotline with Don Bell. And folks, we appreciate you tuning in, and we will see you next week at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. Folks, we'll see you next week. Call your friends and let them know that they need to tune in. And look, reminding everybody also, as you hear that music each week, they're in there doing this to me, telling me, hey, we're fixing to get off of this thing. Want to remind you, tell your friends, they can hit this same link after this show, and you can watch this show again. And you can also go back and archive previous weeks and see what people have been asking in your parts of the world. Notice tonight they called in all over the country. Hey, this show is about you. Hunting the rut, you've got questions, we got answers. Let's talk. We'll see you next week at 7 o'clock, guys.